All right, that's nice and dry. Both of those are dry. We're going to move over to here, but I'm going to refer to this little painting that I did and show you how some of these techniques can work in your painting. So the first one, the flat wash, you can see that little row of trees right there, and this little row of trees, and that one right there. That's pretty much just a flat wash. It's the same kind of thing. The faded wash is like these mountains back here that kind of have that dark to light. So I made sure to have some water going on first, and then kind of again played around with the fading of it. It's not perfect. It almost looks like there's some misty fog back in there. Same thing with that one back there. Okay, so these techniques can really be used in a landscape. All right, what we're going to do next is do the layers. And the first thing, and this will be chopped up into some segments, is you want to make a color. I'm going to use red that's fairly transparent. You don't want it to be real dark. Okay, so if I paint on my scratch paper, see it's kind of light. Okay, it's not super thick. And you need a good little puddle because you have to fill this whole thing in with that one color. And you want to think of it very much like this one, the flat, except you don't have to be quite as careful. So I'm going to tip my paper this way a little bit. I'm going to get just the tiniest bit more color in there. Okay, now I'm going to start up here. See, that's fairly light, and I'm not going to be as careful with going streak, 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 but I never, again, want to run out of paint in my brush. Don't let it run out of paint. See, if I tip the board, it's getting thicker here. That water is falling down over here. Okay, and I'll just finish this off. And then the trick is going to be to, every time we do another layer, is to let this be completely bone dry. So when I come back, this, I will have blow dried that. If you don't have a blow dryer, after the color kind of settles into the paper, just wave it back and forth, and that'll help. Or if it's a sunny day and it's not windy, put it out in the sun. All right, so I don't want that little spot right there to be darker. So I'm wiping off my brush, and I'm going to use my little thirsty brush. Go, just kind of pick up, just barely touch it. Wipe off my brush. It's in my other hand. I'm tipping the board still to make this color kind of all fade down. And see, the whole thing is the same. Okay, now, if I had to just walk away for a minute, I would put something, like here's my paper towel, underneath my paper to make sure that it's still leaning down a little bit. So this side, whoops, I just touched it right there. Oh well, accidentally. Oh, it's bleeding away because it was still wet. All right, I'll be right back with the next layer or two. Okay, I'm coming back to you before this is really dry because I'm going to give you a little shortcut and start these two. Complements are the complementary colors, the opposite colors on a color wheel. And you need to do one color here first before you let it dry and do another color. So what I'm going to do is set this up, and I'm going to, these will be red and green. Okay, those are opposite colors. These will be blue and orange. Those are opposite colors. So in my palette, I have made kind of a medium green, one that you can kind of see through. Don't let it be too thick. Okay, that's kind of a medium green tone. And all we're going to do is fill in two of those spaces. Again, think of it as a flat color, just like we did up there, but just a smaller area. So I'm going to tip the board a little bit. See it kind of collecting down there? And this just took one good brush load is all it took. And then just stop right there. Again, I'm going to touch my brush to a paper towel and try to just grab a little bit of that darker color at the bottom. Okay, that's good to go. I could probably do the blue on the other one. So the blue, again, is kind of medium. I put a little bit of water into that darker blue, and you can test Stays kind of medium. That's all you need for this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing in blue. Then I can go blow dry everything, and we can do the next part. So again, it's flat. Need to wipe off my brush. See that dark blue right there? I'm going to just kind of go pick it right up. So it's very much the same color. All right, now I need to let these two colors kind of settle in for just maybe a minute before I blow dry it. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, now everything is dry. Has to be absolutely bone dry every single time when you're going to layer another color on top of it, or it will bleed into the next color. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to grab my red that I thought was about the same tone of red as this. I'm not making a darker red. I'm putting the same color or same value of red on top of it. And now we're going to start at the next one. And we're still going to kind of put it on here like it's a flat color. We're going to go over the entire thing. Again, don't run out of paint and start painting thin. Make sure your brush has plenty of paint in it to get all the way out here to the end. And that's just a little bit darker, and that's fine. That's what we want. And when we do that, again, I'm going to soak up some water and maybe pick up that last little, oops, I didn't quite get the corner of it there. So you can see the little difference here, right? That's appropriate. Each time, it'll get darker, darker, darker when we overlap an entire one. Now, I'll do those really fast. I'll cut away back and forth and do those for you. But we're also going to do the complements right now. So red and green are complementary colors. I made a red here that's a little bit thicker. I didn't need very much because I'm just going to start at this line and kind of quickly go that way because I don't want there to be a bleed. Sometimes that edge right there bleeds. And if it does a little bit for you, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm just going to get right here in the green and try to quickly get off of the green. Get off of there, just coat it, and then come over here. I even picked up some of the green, it looks like to me. But that's all right. Maybe if we go that way, actually I'm going to do that. I always get this backwards. I only do this once a year. I'm going to do the same thing with orange and blue. They're opposite colors. So, a little orange. I'm going to start here instead. So that orange is nice and pure. And then I can kind of quickly go over the blue. Again, don't keep painting. Once it's covered, leave it. I'm going to pick that part up right there. I kind of wiping my brush off and picking up where some of the water is kind of collecting. Then what happens is you get this neutral tone. And that color right there is hard to describe. That one is kind of hard to describe. It's either a dull red or a dull green. And that one's either a dull orange or a dull blue. And that's what happens in some of your paintings. Let's check this out again. So this, in these darker tones of green, I put a little bit of red in there just to kind of help dull it. There's some blues and there's a little bit of black on there too to help make it darker. But there's definitely a little bit of red in that mix. Okay, so it does work. It really does work. All right, we'll see you next time. I'm going to do each one of those really fast, cutting back and forth, drying it between each one. All right, now this is bone dry. I'm pulling up a little bit more of that light to light medium red, and the same thing. Keep your paintbrush full, and you just kind of work your way across, and it gets a little bit lighter. I'm sorry, darker. And that's just how long it takes right there. Now you can see 3 different values. Now I'm going to go blow dry this and do the next one. All right, here we go again. Now we're just going to do a little less painting. It's bone dry. Now we're just going to do the last 2. Each one just gets a little bit darker. Now yours may be a little darker than mine. That's fine. I don't expect them all to look exactly like mine. But each time you want to try to use pretty much the same tone of red, just so you see that it just gets a little bit darker each time. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, guess what? Bone dry. Now we just have to fill in the last one, pick up some of that red, and get a nice light touch. The more you paint and paint and paint, it'll soak up the color that's in the paper and lift it up and smush it all around. Just kind of think of it as a nice light coat right on top. Now, after you blow dry this, it would be a really good time to take your photograph half finished. Okay, remember we have to do that. Okay, I would dry that, and guys, kind of zoom in on it. Don't let it be a big picture with just this little teeny painting in it. Kind of zoom in on it and watch out for shadows. So you can see those shadows right down here. Watch out for shadows. So back off a little bit and zoom in with your camera to get a nice shot. All right, we're going to go on to the next video. It's going to show the sunset, and then we'll do one for the eye as well. See you soon. I almost forgot to let you know. Layers, the thing that we just did layers with the red, same thing happened here. Pretty much a flat blue layer went all the way down. Then it took a little bit of a darker blue and kind of made that next row of trees. Then I went with that darker green and made the next row of trees. So that's that layering thing. So this was lighter back here. And then I went a little bit darker. See, I just went right on top of that back one. And the idea with watercolor is you're going to go light to dark, as you can probably start to figure out, light to dark. So 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, pretty much just like we did with those little rectangles. All right.